All right, so we're back on the lake a day after. It's a little cooler today. I think this is the first really cool day of the year, September 29th, 2020. It's about 59 degrees, so it's a little chillier, and yeah, it's like I kind of like the nice warm summers. I'm often out here, and it's still like 90 degrees at night, or 80, 85, and it's also nice humid 85 or 90, and it's just, yeah, you can just sit out here, and it's just so warm. But anyways, it's fine. It's fine to be out here. Like I say, it's whenever I do these videos, I think, as I said in the last one, it's like I think about stuff during the day. I think about these things. And I have a lot of things to talk about, but then when it comes time to actually talking about it, I just have this kind of deer in the headlights look, but that's fine. That's fine. And I already uploaded the thing that I did yesterday just before I came out, and I did the timestamps. Very, very coherent timestamps. It's like I wrote these like an hour ago, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Well, all right, I remember some of these. Whenever I do my little daily journals, right, and the stuff that I jotted down handwriting wise, I can't read it like 30 seconds later when I do the audio recording of it. But I don't even have that excuse. It's printed out. This is just like on the website. But I did want to talk about some of the more, I guess, heavier stuff. I talked about, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just rude people with their loud cars. We can talk about loud noises another day. We're not going there today. But I said 2630, limbo between suicide and storytelling, doing neither. So, yeah, that's kind of the heavy stuff, isn't it? Yeah. And, I mentioned that before. It's just the emptiness of it all always comes up. It's not every day. It's not all day. But it's what is the point of all this, It's always like that. Well, not always, but when it comes up, that is a persistent sort of thing that kind of comes back. And it's not it's not that, what do you call, suicide is off the table per se, because I guess it never is. It's not that hard to kill yourself, and that's the whole point, is it's not that hard to kill yourself. I've made it to now 35, right? I remember thinking like 35, is that when I'm just going to die or kill myself, or I'm not going to make it to, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I made it here. I'm not 35. Can you believe this shit? 30-fucking-5. And it's not that hard to kill yourself. But I haven't. So part of that is, there's that kind of ambivalence there, But at the same time, hold on. Yeah, it's not coming out just right. But I did make the point that it's kind of rational, in the sense that, well, things kind of suck. Sometimes not so terribly. Sometimes it feels a lot worse than it is. But it's not worth living this way. It's really not. It's really not. But I don't do it, right? So it's kind of rational. Who cares? This afterlife, so I don't believe in this stuff. Ghosts and goblins and gods. I think it's all made up. Maybe we'll get to that another day, right? But because it's like, there's no point in this. It's over. Bam. That's it. And yet I don't do it. At the same time, another rational thing that is not so, let's say, bad or I guess, well, another rational thing would be to shut the fuck up. Well, to not shut the fuck up, to do the opposite of shutting the fuck up and do videos like this. And again, to tell my story and tell the things that I found important. And again, the thing about that is the story is, you can't talk about the stories, Yeah, well, okay. That might be a mosquito. And that's a rational thing, too. Is it this fucking hard to do these for 30 minutes a day or 10 minutes or whatever? Would it have been this impossible to start these 5 years ago? 10 years ago? Hey, remember 2005 Photoshop story? Would it have been that hard to talk about? Yeah, it was. By definition, I guess it must have been too hard. The technology was there even 15 years ago to record myself and do stuff like this. But it was too tough to talk about this because It's not the stories, it's that you can't talk about the stories. You know, if I say the happy face dictatorship, which yesterday was a timestamp, 1855. Oh, that's the story that took, 5 minutes to stammer out? Yep. Hopefully we don't repeat it too much. Basically, again, I thought my parents were a bag of dicks. They did things to me that were just, there was no sexual abuse per se, right? There was no physical abuse, or it was very little. That was not my main complaint. But the bullshit. You know, the military school incident that I mentioned before, I could not talk to anyone about this stuff. And that's the story, right? So no, I could not talk about these stories. And, you know, it's a shame that it took me to be 35 to figure out, all right, fine, I'll just talk about it now, or start to. And hopefully, again, well, doing this every day, hopefully. Again, maybe Cactus Poker. I do have a couple things on backlog, including one from almost a year ago. Doesn't matter. Let's get back. But it is perfectly rational to say, shut the fuck up. Well, do the opposite of shut the fuck up. Stop doing this, shutting the fuck up, and to do these, you know, and to talk about these things. But it is painful. And part of it is, I do imagine myself back, because the military school incident that I previously just mentioned, right? The idea was I realized my parents were bags of dicks about a certain thing. I don't have to get into but I realized, the realization was, God damn, I'm being just gypped here. And I can't talk to my parents about it. That they're completely irrational, just like with the mask bullshit, right? Doesn't matter what you say, it's the same party line bullshit. You cannot convince somebody. There's just no seeing eye to eye on this. And with some fundamental issues with my parents, that they were treating me pretty badly, that you could never get them to realize, all right, we won't do this, right? That realization sucked. And I couldn't talk about it with them. I tried talking to some people about that. But it's always this rejection, this sort of, people just don't get it, you know? And it's been, as I mentioned last time, it's been easier to just kind of passively go along and pretend I can find some people passively, just sniffing around. And are people kind of talking about this? Again, every once in a while you sort of see it, but that's the thing is, no, you just don't, it's just not anywhere. So I cannot passively just not talk about it and hope I find something accidentally. And that's it. So it's rational. Hey, I think the suicide stuff is perfectly rational. It's over, bam, fantastic, most likely. You know, it's right. So who cares, right? But the evidence is I haven't done that. It's not hard to kill yourself. It's really not. And yet I haven't done it. So I can't do that. I can't do the storytelling stuff or talk, well, again, with the exception of me, right, I get that, yeah, except right now. But, you know, previous to this, I've had some false starts, you know, and it's just never really took off. And maybe, hopefully this is it. Hopefully I can, every day, I have now uploaded the video that says I'm going to do this at least once a day for 30 days. And again, it doesn't have to be hardcore, heavy stuff like this, but let's, you know. So it is hard to talk about this stuff. And, oh boy, I forgot where I'm going with this. Right, so it's rational to kill yourself, actually. I think so. It's over, who cares, whatever, you know. Not like I have any responsibilities. I don't have any kids or anything, right? It's not like anyone depends on me. So you could make the case, all right, your kids are, you know, so don't, right, okay. But that doesn't apply. None of that applies, right? So why not, right? Why not? Well, it doesn't matter why not. The evidence is I haven't. And again, I reserve the right to, but I haven't. So it's like, all right, just fucking do these stories. And yeah, it's painful to do them, and no one wants to listen. And I haven't wanted to accept until now-ish right now. Yeah, it's just, you cannot find people who have, you know, who kind of get this. There's a couple little things we'll talk about maybe, but there just isn't. So I do have to talk about these things. I can't just plug into something and just gradually, you know, open myself up and say, all right, I'm kind of like this. And there just isn't anything. No, does not exist. There's nowhere to go. There's no address. It's all, no. And I guess that's it. It's. Did I want to talk more about Irrational? So Limbo. I get the title of this, right? So the whole point is I've been in this completely irrational limbo where I don't do either of the rational things of just fucking get it over with and kill yourself, or fucking get it over with and just start talking about these things. Just fucking do it. It's painful. And no one gets this, and people are just going to look funny at you or whatever. You know, it's hostility or indifference. My two favorite emotions from other people, I guess. But yeah, just fucking do it. Whatever, just do it. Just do what. And it's been this irrational limbo where I don't do the suicide stuff. I don't do the storytelling very much. I don't talk about what's important to me. And then I'm in this miserable state where, at least to myself, I sometimes talk about these things. You know? And again, is that really even irrational? Knowing about all the rejection and bullshit and just not wanting to deal with that. And just kind of knowing it. Do I want that to be so direct? And I haven't wanted it to be so direct. You know? That's why I think it is progress to be able to talk about it the way I'm talking about it now, because I remember the first couple of times when the whole suicide stuff came up. It was right after the military school incident when I was about 16, sophomore in high school. Almost, 19 years ago? It was 2001? Fall of 2001? Holy shit, almost 19 years. And that's when the suicide stuff came up, is I realized it's just so empty. Can't talk to anyone about anything. And it was just so painful to know that. The Danube incident was about that too, right? Can't talk to anyone about this. Just I'm alone. And that's true. That is true. You know. That is true. But, hey, look at that. I can say it. And, you know, my hope is to put these things that are important to me. And not all of it is this very heavy stuff. But that's always the sort of overarching thing, is whatever story I have is whatever thing that's important to me. I can't talk to anyone about it. Couldn't talk to my parents about it. Couldn't talk to anyone around that time. Older adults. Couldn't talk to any, so-called friends around my age. But again, it's like, okay, everyone's stupid. You're 16, whatever, because we get to, call 16-year-olds stupid, but no one else, right? Fellow young people. I'm outraged. But yeah, I couldn't. It's a much more pervasive problem than just, oh, my parents sucked. That's why something never sat right with me with that blue book I mentioned, the Susan Forward book, which is like, no, it's not my toxic parents, because if it's just my toxic parents, then I could have talked to lots of other wonderful parents out there about these sort of topics. And even just kind of banal topics. Like, I don't want to go to college. It's fucking boring. It's just, there's no depth anywhere, Or even just the heavier stuff, the suicide stuff. When I first started being, thinking it's all pointless, it's all bullshit, and there was a lot more anxiety with it. I think I'm a bit more calm in as I talk about it now. But it was just like a panic, almost like, I don't know, tigers chasing you or something. Maybe a lower grade panic than that, but it was just not very good. I had it today. It's always there. What's the point, and whatever. I think if you look at the fan videos where I'm out in the state park, that's sort of when I was directly in that really despairing sort of mood. And I don't think even when I'm talking in that despairing mood, I don't think it conveys just the depth of how awful it is. I don't think it does. But thankfully, these moods come and go, right? They don't last forever. I'm just a little chilly. You know. But that's it. You couldn't talk to anyone about this who got it, you know. So it's not toxic parents. It's just boring, toxic bullshit everyone, okay? It's that... Okay, yeah, well, here's a fun story. So I think I didn't put it in here. I wish I did yesterday. So 9/28/2005, 15 years ago yesterday, was the 15th anniversary of me coming back from Austin after the hurricane evacuation. And I had a kind of small nervous breakdown, and I said, fuck this, I gotta quit college. So I slapped some ads on my website, and I was like, ooh, I'm making money, hooray. And that's the process of how I started quitting college. But it was also on 9/28 that I registered alternativism.net. You know, I was in this, I just wanted to register like a domain. Maybe it'll be my personal blog or something else or whatever. Alternativism. I don't go to it now. Maybe some nefarious hackers have bought the domain or something. The .com was not available. And on the 29th, the day after I bought the .org, because, I don't know, you need to buy the .org. Alternativism.net was the thing, 2005, September 28th. I looked it up a couple days ago on my old domain registrar's billing, so I know it was exactly on the day I came back from Austin. And I was like, there's got to be some alternatives, right? It's just this college thing sucks, but it wasn't just the college. It was just a lot of these things. It was personal issues, but it was just the boringness of it that you could not talk about. Again, I couldn't talk about the suicide stuff. I could not talk about, I guess, whatever nascent Guerrero thing I had in my mind about these things. I couldn't talk about the Danube incident, again, when I was sitting alone on the Danube in 2001. Two, is it the military school incident? How my parents are a bag of dicks to me. But even the broader kind of things. I mean, you could kind of talk about the broader things. I remember in college I was just gazing out the window because it was just such a boring class as usual. And this was, again, 2004, 5-ish, and, you know, the Iraq War was still kind of raging a lot more than it's like, what are we doing here? It's like the government's like killing a bunch of people, and I'm talking about this boring bullshit. Why doesn't that get a little more priority? Or even in international studies class that I took, it was just this boring stuff about, I don't know, the end of, not the end of the world, but the end of ideology or something. I'm drawing a blank, I should know. It's Francis Fukuyama. I don't even want to go. It's just so boring. It's just the establishment boring bullshit. And it's like, you got all these fancy words, but you're killing a bunch of people everywhere. So can we, like, fix that? You know, can we not do that one, please? And just like with this whole mask bullshit and the whole, Corona bullshit, it's just, people in power are fucking retarded. Can we fix these things? You know, can we? So anyways, alternativism.net was I didn't use it ever. I just registered the domain because it's such a genius domain. And it was because somebody took the .com, right? I think this is better. Is it better? Who knows? Whatever. Audio production. Yeah. So the fact that you get any video is extra. You should be appreciative and praise me for it. But anyways, that was it, you know? And even the few essays that I wrote in college where I was like, all right, let me talk about something a little different, just a fucking tiny bit. Can someone see I'm a little different? Can someone meet me at this level? You know? And it's like, no, that will not be accommodated. And it's like, I'm kind of glad I quit college and successfully did a little small business on the side, because I'm not some crazy loser then, you know? If I were living under a bridge and I'd be like, why didn't people see my brilliance? It's like, no, there was confirmation that there was something. You know, I wasn't just all talk. And it's just... And that's also part of why it is hard to do these, because to a very small degree, I did put myself out there. I did put myself out there. Is this a mosquito? It is. See, I'm not just slapping myself. Oh, the glare is helping us. Look at that. You can see it. Where's the camera? You can see it, right? There we go. That is a mosquito. Anyways, so I'm not slapping myself now. But yeah, that's it. It's I did put myself out there enough to where it was disappointing that even for the relatively superficial things, I can't find people with that sort of compatible personality. You know, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. So now doing this stuff full blast, or wanting to do it full blast and talk about, ooh, you can't talk about... And again, well, we'll get to that. The whole mental health nonsense of, oh, just talk about your... Okay, it's not a mental health thing, okay? The fact that, you know, you can't talk to anyone about anything interesting is not my mental problem. It's not my fucking problem, okay? It's an issue for me, but to... Oh, it's your brain. It's serotonin. Shut up. It's not. Jesus Christ. It's a chemical imbalance. Fuck me. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I can't talk to anyone about my mother shoving me into the bathtub. The few times where it was a physical issue, but even that was not a physical issue, right? You know, that was not... yeah, the fact that I can't talk to anyone about that, could not talk to anyone about it then, is apparently my serotonin problem. Fuck you. You know. The whole field is garbage, by the way. It's just terrible, you know. We'll talk about that, hopefully, some more. I think I may have one. Who cares? Whatever. But yeah, that's it. So... Yeah, so I don't think I have too much to add. It's 22 minutes, but I think I rambled enough out to where... I guess to summarize it. Yeah, the suicide stuff was rational, but I'm not doing it. You know, I haven't. It's not that hard to kill yourself, so let's talk about this stuff. And then it's the limbo of, I'm not going to kill myself, but I'm not going to talk about these things, except if we can now. And then it's the irrational limbo of, okay, I'll just not talk about these things. But that's not irrational either, because it's not like you talk to anyone about it or they'd blow you off or whatever. You know? And it wasn't safe to talk about these things. I mean, if I were 16 and the first times that I wanted to, you know, or the suicide stuff came up, what would have happened to me? You know, they would have just labeled me crazy or something. These people don't help, you know. During the same... I probably brought this up, but let me bring it up again. You know, my parents dragged me on... Well, I don't know if we went to a therapist. I probably mentioned this before. But in between therapy sessions, and sometimes it was individual sessions, just me, but because my parents were just so wonderful people, they'd sometimes do family sessions as well, just because they're so supportive, you know. And I remember it was in between one of these sessions that my mother shoved me into the bathtub and let water on me, right? And it was ironically over the issue of some psychotropic medications. I know I brought this up before. That I had to take this boost bar bullshit thing. It was this thing. And I had some side effects from it, but it was mostly being gaslit that, oh, your depression or whatever, it's because the chemical imbalance. No, it's because I'm around assholes and you can't talk to anyone about anything, and it's all bullshit, okay? That's my problem, not fucking serotonin, okay? And I had some side effects from it, and again, make a long story short, and I'm sure I'll go into more details. I'll do a video specifically about it, and of course I'll ramble a bit. But it was in between these sessions that my mother shoved me into the bathtub. And then when it was the session after the bathtub incident, my mother looked kind of like, ooh, she was she didn't ask me to not say it, but it's like, why would I bring it up? Like, why? What would happen? You know? The therapist showed herself to be a dumb bitch before who didn't take my side on anything. So, we don't do... Well, I imagine she would have said, we don't want to do that. Okay. And it wasn't about that. It was about... it's not serotonin, But the therapists are on the side of just the bullshit shit world because they go to the same boring colleges I didn't want to have anything to do with. They go along with every boring bullshit thing too. And it is a bit more freeing to realize, yep, there's no help anywhere. I mean, maybe we'll find... Again, the 7 billion math, 7 billion people, don't have to convince them all. 70 million, 7 million, 700, whatever. I don't have to get it right. I have to get a very small percentage, right? And that's what this is about. Finally, we can talk about this stuff, and hopefully over time it becomes more coherent, more linear, and more whatever. But this is part of it, just putting this out there and doing it every day, or at least knowing I got to put something out every day. So yeah, it sucks that this is the circumstance we have to, I kind of wish I could have just showed up somewhere. It's like, oh, this is good enough. We'll build on this, and other people have sort of figured this out. But there's been a couple people who've talked about these but it's just no. It's just no. It's all dead ends. There's good stuff, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll actually get to more specifics, but it's fine. The goal for the next, I guess, 20, this is number 2, so 30 minus 2. Again, this is also a math education, remedial math program, so 30 minus 2 is 28 more videos, and I don't even have to do these. There's a couple backlog ones I might put up. Cactus poker, you don't want to miss it. But yeah, it's just about, the goals for these are, can I just at least put some of the heavier stuff out there? It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be all the time. But can I just kind of fluidly talk sometimes about heavier stuff, and can I make it a routine where I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff at least sometimes? Because I had a couple good runs with it, and then it's like, man. But now that I'm on record saying it's 30 days, let's fucking do it. All right, let's do 30 days, right? And again, a lot of these thoughts, again, it's more coherent to me because I know all the stories and everything. I do churn through these every day. It's not like, I'm smoking crack 24/7 and I don't do anything. I mean, I don't really do anything per se, but I do think about these things, so just fucking put it out there, And that's the goal. And hey, we got to 30 minutes. Not that that's a quota or anything. But just get past that deer in the headlights of, I don't want to do it. And, what's the point? Who cares? But again, the point is, 7 billion math. It's don't have to convince 7 billion. 70 million, that's too big. Too confusing, too dizzying. 7 million, no, just 1, 2, 7, 70, fine. We'll buy a lake somewhere, and that's it, that sort of thing. That's it. So I guess that is it. Do we want to round it out to 30 minutes? I don't know. Just some last minute thoughts here. Oh yeah, the therapist I saw on he was looking for a male prostitute, and the police report said that he broke his ankle jumping from a balcony. A therapist that I found online on one of psychology. I know that's. We'll just put that out there. That's a fun story. Maybe not tomorrow, but at some point. It's amazing the people out there that pretend to know what they're talking about. Speaking of which, our time is now at an end, and that is it for now.